It's an inch.
What is happening?
Broadcasting live from the Zimmer Communications World Headquarters.
Great news for the American people.
This is Wake Up Mid-Missouri with Branden Rathert, featuring Stephanie Bell, News Director Brian Houseworth, John Marsh, and Hannah, the producer.
This is why we listen to you.
Get ready, pal. And now, here's your host, Branden Rathert.
It's Friday, I'm in love.
People just need to chill out. He will be one of my winners of the week coming up at 8:35 here on a Feel Good Friday on Wake Up Mid-Missouri. Good morning. I'm Branden Rathert. There's Stephanie Bell.
Good morning.
Producer Hannah is back.
Hello.
She had to take the day off yesterday, try to buy Taylor Swift concert tickets.
Oh, no. Don't start that.
Wow. Listen, watch the social media stuff. The thousands of people here in mid-Missouri, just right here, like in Cole and Callaway and Montauk and Boone counties and Rand. I'm like, wow, this is insane. And it's not about Taylor Swift. It's about Ticketmaster on a couple of different levels and what they did and the broken hearts. And it's not just the parents, but the kids that are dead, mom and dad. Yeah, we'll get you some Taylor Swift concert tickets. And mom and dad, they get all the workers at their workplace. Hey, y'all, get on the computers. I'm getting Taylor Swift concert tickets for my kids today. We're going to do this. And the kids are all excited. And the kids come home from school and they're like, what happened? No Taylor Swift concert tickets.
And people are mad about the prices, but the demand is so high. So, and here we've got all these liberals calling on the government. We must have intervention because we can't get our Taylor Swift tickets.
I know.
And it's like, let's just, we're not blaming Taylor Swift. Like, hey, maybe you should have toured more than one time every 4 years so you don't blow up Ticketmaster. Maybe you should have more shows. I don't know. But instead we're like, this must be, we have to get the government to fix this Taylor Swift problem.
Whenever there's a problem, we call on the government, the very people that we criticize on a regular basis. Hey, those people we just spent 3.5 hours criticizing. Can we get them to help us so you can hook a brother up with some Taylor Swift concert tickets?
It's like socialist. Taylor Swift tickets for everybody. Unless we can guarantee that everyone can have a Taylor Swift ticket, we are mad.
Hannah did not stay home to buy Taylor Swift concert tickets. She's being a trooper this morning, coming in with a triple ear infection.
How does the math work out on that one?
Marsh, I ain't real. My math ain't much better than my English. I don't know. And I'm wondering, because I get the polite thing to do is, when you're sick, you're supposed to stay home, not be around other people. That's not how I grew up. And I'm not saying that's right, wrong, or indifferent, but when I was sick, my dad said, Dad, I'm sick. I'm like, okay, well, go be sick at school. That's just what you did. You bucked up, and I get it. It's changing, and I feel, okay, to be unselfish, listen, the world will go on with me, whether I go to school today, whether I show up here. The life goes on whether I'm here today or not.
Well, and we had a couple Wake Up family members point out on Wednesday when I was here sick. Brian was reporting in his news that the health department or somebody was urging you to stay home if you're sick.
That was actually the state health department. Yes,
yeah.
That came directly from the state health director in Fulton.
We got a couple text messages saying, now, Hannah, you need to listen to Brian's newscast.
Or what would have been better, John, and I want to get your opinion on this as a news guy. We try to lend a lot of credence to our news guys, much deserved credence to Houseworth and Marsh here. But what do you think about Hannah, who is obviously sounding sick? And a lot of folks, by the way, texting, wondering where you'd been, and they're glad you're back. But I'm wondering, we should have had Hannah actually read that story. And the health department is sick. We want home.
And by the way, I think I'm thrilled to have Hannah back, but what she's going through right now, and there's about 4 or 5, maybe 6 various things going around. I've had stomach flu twice in the past month, and it's just and to the point where when I was at MU Urgent Care here in Columbia on Sunday, you couldn't get in. It was couldn't find it. I had to go park at that steak burger place next to it. It was that big. So there's a lot going on, and you wipe as much down as you can. And I try to do everything. I wash my hands all the time. I still get it, but it is going around. So people be very, very careful, because there's various things. Some have what Hannah has. This RSV's going around, and then the other thing, don't forget the COVID. That's still going around.
And here's what I think is different. And the
that's
flu.
true.
And here's what I think is a little bit different about this. Okay, you got COVID over the past couple of years, whatever. You get the flu. Guess what happens around this time of every single year? It gets cold. People get the flu. The flu and that stuff, the COVID, I don't care. But the RSV, that is something that is different, because this is hitting adults, and it's hitting us right here where we live.
Well, it is, and it's filling up bed spaces. That is something we'll have to continue to keep an eye on. I'm not going to alarm anybody at this point, but it's something. I mean, the fact that when I went into and by the way, I was at a local pharmacy last Friday night, in a different one, and it was just packed with people, and there was a quick care there, and they were telling me about strep going around, and they were telling me about the ear infections and stuff. So it is going around, but the stomach flu, and then it's rough, and it's kind of taxing, if you will, the healthcare providers, because they've been just so busy. So just be patient and try to continue to wash your hands. That's a good idea.
I think my doctor has been punking me.
How come?
The antibiotic I was prescribed is huge. And I went to the doctor saying my throat's really swollen, like drinking water is really difficult. And he said, okay. So I went and picked up my prescription, and it's a freaking horse pill.
These pills that Hannah are taking, she brought them in because she was saying they're pretty big. And a lot of times the penicillin, amoxicillin pills can be pretty big. She brought them in. These things are the size of a Twinkie.
Okay.
Looks like a ding dong. I mean, these things are huge, and they're chalky, and they just don't. They don't go down easy. The point of that story is we're glad.
We are thrilled to have, and everybody stay healthy, no doubt.
Now, adversely, next week, Houseworth, Stephanie, Marsh, and we're all going to be out, because we're all going to have our triple ear infections, because are ear infections infectious?
No.
All right. What about the... okay,
strep is the stomach flu is. And I was told that I couldn't even get out of bed at one point. But I mean, and the RSV definitely is contagious. And you're right, Brandon. It's affecting adults and young people. We're talking about people in their 20s up. There were people in their 80s, it looked like, maybe older, who dealing with that.
By the way, yesterday, so Pelosi stepping down from House leadership. Republicans already say we are going after Joe. Want to get to that really quick. But here's what I would suggest you do. Join us at our Tiger Tailgate tomorrow, wind chill. When this is happening, wind chills tomorrow in the mid-teens. If you are going to the Mizzou football, I'm daring you. Join us at our Tiger Tailgate. You can get onto our website, 939theeagle.com, KWOS.com. It's something really cool we do for you every single year. We give you.
Brandon will be there with his ski gear on. He'll get his ski gear out early.
We feed you. We give you booze and all that good stuff. Buffalo Wild Wings, Culligan, Mid-Missouri, Bud Light, High Noon, Hard Seltzers. Here's what you do. You can go to various locations across Mid-Missouri. You can go to Club Car Wash in Columbia, Jefferson City. You can hit up Big Whiskeys.
What about hot chocolate?
We'll probably have hot chocolate mixed with booze. And then in New Bloomfield, you can hit up Speedy Bees, and it's really easy. You walk in and say, hey, where's those passes for the 93.9 The Eagle and the 104.5 News Radio 950 KWOS Tiger Tailgates? And all right here, and they'll give you like 4 at a time. It's a really cool free food before you hit up the game.
Love it.
It'll just be a little chilly. That's all. Little chilly. Pelosi announcing yesterday, and I think the timing of the whole thing, I get it. So we learned the other day, Republicans, they will control the House. They immediately said, we're going after Joe. And this is a serious thing I think I'm putting away. I think I'm putting my partisanship aside, if I'm being honest. But Republicans saying yesterday, listen, we're going to go after Joe and Biden. We're going to look. I shouldn't say we're going to go after. We are going to investigate. 2 things. Number one, I thought it was funny. the Democrats in D.C. like, you can't go and investigate a sitting president? Oh, really? Huh. Watch this. Hold my beer. What do you mean we can't? The people who spent 6 years investigating a guy who was in the White House for 4 years and is still investigating, you're telling us that we can't go after a sitting president? Ooh. But I'm wondering about and I get the timing. Republicans take control of the House. Republicans immediately coming out and saying, hey, we're going to do this. Pelosi, though, and I'm just curious, and I understand Nancy Pelosi, who I'm obviously not a fan of. She's had some personal stuff happen here in the past few weeks. She says, hey, I'm going to step down. But I wonder if there's anything there to the timing of all of this. And I don't have a definitive answer. It's just a question rolling around in my head. So I don't know. I can't draw a line from point A to point B. But it is a question I have regarding timing. I was watching the national news outlets yesterday. I thought it was August and the Queen had died again in their flowery stories about, oh, how wonderful. And I get it. She did some first in the house. I get that. I do. I understand that. But my God, I thought the Queen died. That's how flowery their coverage was.
Did they already have like a montage of like old pictures of her and stuff?
Set to real soft music.
Right?
And wow, it was incredible. Yeah. Representative James Comer. Man, he nailed it.
He personally participated in meetings and phone calls. Documents show that he was a partner with access to an office. To be clear, Joe Biden is the big guy.
Boom. Bottom line. James Comer talking about after the Republicans announced yesterday, hey, and I want to be careful about how I phrase it. They're not going after Joe. They're going to look, hey, let's see if something's here. Because everything we have seen thus far basically looks like, yeah, Hunter Biden used his dad's powerful name in politics to peddle influence. That's some pretty serious stuff. Peddle influence on an international level. That's some scary stuff when that big guy is now taking naps in the Oval Office after he eats his pudding for breakfast. That's a big deal.
And Joe Biden's recent comments have changed slightly because before he was just saying, like, anytime they asked him about Hunter, he was like, I never talked to Hunter about anything. And you're like, really? That's hard to believe. And now he's like, we need to move on. We just need to move on. So he's like no longer denying it even. He's just like, because it was so incredulous when he said, oh, I don't talk to my son about anything at all. And now he's like, let's just move on.
Yeah,
of course you want us to move on.
Let's talk about something else. Coming up, we're going to be doing your daily DC rundown here on a Feel Good Friday. Stephanie, what's underneath the circus tent this morning?
Well, we've got some interesting, we have the Nancy Pelosi news, but there's some election stuff, irregularities going on in Texas.
This is Wake Up Mid-Missouri, featuring Branden Rathert.
When I think about players taking a knee during the national anthem, I think that the very thing that they're taking a knee on, I think
When we called for Katie Hobbs to recuse herself over a year ago, they ridiculed us. It turns out we were right. The fox was guarding the hen house, and because of that, voters have been disenfranchised.
That's Carrie Lake, who was in the election to become Arizona's governor, and she's saying, hey, her opponent, by the way, is an important role in election. She's kind of looking at that, and this is against the backdrop of some other, I don't want to use the word irregularities, but a lot of folks across the country in various states saying we should look at some of this stuff, and that's getting us into today's Daily DC Rundown with Stephanie Bell.
So in Houston, Governor Greg Abbott has started to talk about about the county where Houston is, and why is it when we all of a sudden have an influx of Democrats somewhere, suddenly they start having election problems? Because, all these Democrats from like California and stuff moved to Texas during COVID, and apparently on Election Day in Harris County, they had 800 polling locations that had some long lines, or there was problems reported there, and they were saying specifically there were paper ballot shortages, delayed openings of the polling locations, and now Abbott's saying, you know what, in Harris County, it's a blue county being run by Democrats. And although Republicans still won every statewide office in that county in particular, they all voted for the Democrats. And he's like, we need to have an investigation here. So we've been hearing about it in Arizona and other places. But we've got to keep a close eye on this.
And we go back to the 2020 election, say whatever you will about it. I think if anything, it spurred a really good conversation over the past couple of years, because I think everywhere nationwide, people are looking around going, yeah, prior to 2020, when was the last time we really looked at election processes and security?
Sure. And just when are we going to know the results? And I think what we know is when people know the results the day of, they feel more confident in those results. And so even in places where it wasn't close, so like Ohio, it's being reported they're still counting. They've had these late arriving mail ballots, and the margin was so large that it got called on Election Day. But you're thinking, okay, if it was close, like say it was close like it was close in Arizona, maybe it wouldn't have been called. And so, are we going to continue to have more and more states where, what is it? Like, 2 weeks, and we're like, well, maybe, I don't know, so it's frustrating, but I think people are like, well, it's fine because the margins are big, so we didn't have a problem in Ohio. No, they're still counting. We need to keep an eye on that, because if it's close, and when it really matters, we don't want to be going a week later without knowing who won.
And still some seats, by the way, in the U.S. House of Representatives, still not decided.
Yesterday, a shootout on a boat. U.S. Customs and Border Protection agent. An agent was actually killed. They got into a shootout off the coast of Puerto Rico with a suspected smuggler. Apparently, there were 2 smugglers on a boat. There were 3 agents. All 3 agents ended up being shot, and 1 ended up dying. So just a disaster, at the border with drug smuggling, everything. And we have a solution. Any work? Anybody there doing anything? No, not good. It's a really sad day. Also, speculation continuing to swirl about 2024 now on the Democrat side. Apparently, Gretchen Whitmer was approached yesterday saying, hey, are you eyeing 2024? And she's like, I just got off the election trail. I just won the governorship. Of course, she's saying, I have no interest in going to D.C., and I fully intend to serve my full term, which a lot of people have said before. So,
yeah.
I don't know. You think she'll throw her hat in the ring in 2024?
Hard telling. As a matter of fact, there was a big cattle call of Republicans yesterday, and I think Fox News pegged that there was at least 10 people in this thing that there's been talk surrounding them regarding a presidential run in 2024. Welcome into Wake Up Mid-Missouri. Feel Good Friday. Coming up 5 minutes from now, a lot of talk about Chappelle's SNL monologue. Jerry Seinfeld. His take on it, pretty unique.
Before I start tonight, I just wanted to read a brief statement that I prepared. I denounce anti-Semitism in all its forms. And I stand with my friends in the Jewish community. And that, Kanye, is how you buy yourself some time. I learned that there are two words in the English language that you should never say together in sequence. And those words are the and Jews. I've never heard someone do good after they said that.
Dave Chappelle, SNL. Remember a lot of strife prior to his appearance last week. Some of the writers said, we're not writing for the show. And, man, the ratings for the show, boom, one of the highest in several years.
I love Dave Chappelle. In college, we had his show on, like, the box set DVD and just watched it on repeat.
And I like his stand-up stuff. I'm still a bigger fan of his show that was on Comedy Central for a long time. I thought it was brilliant. He does some brilliant comedian stuff. Jerry Seinfeld. Great comic in his own right. He happens to be Jewish. He was asked, hey, Jerry. And Jerry, I think, is pretty known to be a very classy guy. Somebody said, Jerry, man, what do you think about Dave Chappelle specifically and what he had to say in his opening monologue, the anti-Semitism stuff and stuff like that? And I was anxious to hear, okay, interesting perspective from a guy who is Jewish and has made millions of dollars being funny for his entire life, or at least attempting to be funny. He's got great comedy. Jerry Seinfeld's take when they were asked, what do you think about it? Here's what Jerry Seinfeld said. He said, great execution. He said he executed what he had to say. Well, and he went on to say, and there's some conversations to be had about what this comedian brought up on stage. There's some conversations to be had because, people were complaining. I can't believe SNL is putting Dave Chappelle on Saturday Night Live. We can't believe they're doing it. And Jerry Seinfeld saying, this is a good opportunity for some conversations. I thought it was just an interesting take. And I might be the wrong guy to ask because I have a different sense of humor than a lot of people. I have a blanket thing, and I remember this. I was, 14, 15 years old. I was an 8th grader. Long middle school, St. Louis, Missouri. And I had acne really bad as a kid. And I remember there's a group of us, 14, 15-year-old kids were sitting at somebody's house watching TV and laughing at the comedians on the TV. And then a comedian got up and did some jokes about acne. And all of a sudden, as an awkward 15-year-old kid plagued by acne who had issues with self-identity and self-confidence anyway, here's all my friends sitting around watching this comedian on the TV joke about acne. It was uncomfortable, but it was still funny.
Right.
Because it's comedy. That's all it is. It's comedy. No, I'm not saying acne is something that's comparable to criticizing a race or a religion or anything like that, but that's always been my take. It's just comedy. That's all it is. To steal a line from Ron DeSantis, everybody just needs to chill out. And that's what we're doing here on a Feel Good Friday. Stephanie Bell, John Marsh, Brian Houseworth, producer Hannah. My name is Branden Rathert. Phone number, something we can do for you this morning. Or you want to pick somebody for winners and losers of the week, send us a text, 874-9390. We're going to be doing that at 8:35. I love it. We pick winners and losers of the week. I'm going to pick Mike off the text. We're talking about the number of RSV cases going around and why it's different. COVID, flu, I don't care about that. Flu hits this time every year. People still freaked out about COVID, and that's fine. But this is a little different. Mike sends via text, 874-9390. Says, wait a minute, you kidding me? 3 years of, get vaccines and do this and wash your hands and don't go out and talk to people and let's lock down and all that. Mike says, basically, weren't there a lot of people saying several years ago, hey, if you do that, you're going to severely inhibit your immune system? Well, here we are on November the 18th talking about the number of people that are getting sick.
Right.
Because we treated everything with kid gloves.
I mean, every parent goes through this, like the first year your kid goes to daycare and you have the crud all year because your immune system is just getting used to all of those extra germs being introduced in your house. Same for folks whose kid, starts kindergarten. You kind of go through that. And yeah, we basically all hid out, and we didn't get that regular immunoresponse that is a part of our normal lives. And now we're paying for it for sure.
And I still, Marsh, are you still washing your hands? I still think one of the most amusing things to me that started in the spring of 2020, late winter of 2020, was these massive ad campaigns to tell me to wash my hands. Dude, I'm just baffled that people have to be oh yeah, wash my hands there. And I
haven't been doing that in a while.
Yeah.
Thanks for the reminder.
Gosh, I thought it was silly. Mike, great text, man. We appreciate that. You got a great text for us, 874-9390, 874-9390. Glad you could be here. So 8:35. Winners and losers of the week. Some other political news before we move forward here on the show this morning. Biden asking an appeals court to intervene on student loan debt relief. He is vowing a Supreme Court appeal. A lot of people, frankly, are saying, hey, listen, what you did with student loan for you not only is it illegal, it is just incredibly bad policy. It sends a really, really bad message. And one of the things I've seen is we've seen several of these lawsuits dismissed. We know our Attorney General, U.S. Senator-elect Eric Schmidt, he's been one of the folks to go after this idea of just, hey, let's just forgive your debt. But one of the points that keeps coming up is judges ruling you don't have standing to sue. And I don't quite understand standing.
Okay, so you have to have an interest in the lawsuit, basically, an injury of some sort. So if two other people are getting divorced, you can't go and be like, hey, I want those two people to get divorced, because it's none of your business, right? It doesn't affect you. And so a lot of times, if you're in state court, the statutes can confer standing on you, and the statute might say, in this circumstance, you can sue if you're a citizen or a taxpayer. But in these suits, they're under Article 3, and Article 3 standing, that's what and I think it stumped a lot of people on the conservative movement right in the beginning on, hey, how do we get this into court? Because standing is a little bit of a challenge here. And so what the original court that dismissed the lower court that dismissed the suit initially said, you've got to have three things. You got to have an injury in fact. You've got to have, and it's got to be concrete and imminent. And then the injury has to be traceable to the challenged action. So you've got to be hurt, and then you got to be hurt because of whatever they did. And then it's got to be likely that the injury will be redressed by a favorable decision. So that's kind of a remedy issue. So then, whatever the remedy is has to be able to fix whatever the hurt is, right? And in this instance, it's okay, well, they kind of gave you something for free. How are you hurt by that, right? And I think one of the ways I think that they did get into court was there was I think one of the people was, okay, so let me see if I can get this right. Okay, so they were going to have their student loan forgiveness forgiven because they were in public service. And I think there's a 10-year thing or whatever. And if that was going to happen, then it was non-taxable. But then what happened was, Biden's going to come in and wipe the $10,000 out. So you won't have to use that other provision. But the Biden provision was taxable. And so what he's saying is, I'm hurt. If I would have just gone through the regular thing, I would have gotten the $10,000 tax free. Now with Biden's thing, it's automatic, but I have to pay taxes on it. And so, but for a lot of people, what's your injury, right? And that's really, and so the state went in and they've got arguments about, well, there's other implications for the state in doing this. And, we're all saddled with the, ultimate costs and all these other things. And what the court, I think the initial court it wasn't that there wasn't an injury. It's well, it's speculative and it's not imminent. It's too speculative. It's not concrete enough. And so, and a lot of times you'll get that, and courts are likely, they don't rule on the merits. They don't want to decide the issue unless, you have all of these threshold things taken care of. And one of those things is standing. And so a lot of times, people get really excited. They want to get their case heard. But if the court can kick you out on standing, they will. And they're not supposed to decide constitutional issues unless you meet all the other requirements. And so you'll see a lot of times, some of these redistricting cases and other cases, standing is brought up a lot. It's, you shouldn't be in court unless you really meet the requirements to be there. So
So I'm wondering, so you're talking about the injury and being affected. Can't say, and I think, I'll go sue somebody. I think I have standing in this because it's my taxpayer dollars. It was my taxpayer dollars anyway, but now the kids, these college people who took out the student loans aren't paying it back. Ain't I injured, Steph?
You're not.
Okay.
And so, you think about like the gas tax, right? And if we had every person in Missouri who's like, you're increasing my taxes in court, right? The injury is not particularized to you. And so, yeah, generally, as just a taxpayer, you don't have standing to just come in and say, well, it's going to raise my taxes. It's not good enough.
All right.
But sometimes the legislature will step in and say, hey, here's who has, even though it could be a lot of people, here's who has standing to come in and sue. Here, they're under general, standing rules.
So for...
Correct.
Yeah, and I'm not injured. I would rather we take for producer Hannah, but we're not knocking on Hannah here. It's the Joe Biden thing. We'll just forgive it. It's just an incredibly bad message. And, yeah, the majority of people would take the money, regardless of your political beliefs. We saw it with various relief programs in the past. Majority of people would take it. I would rather we get into John Marsh's retirement account and give Hannah $10,000. I think we here on the show, we are willing to do when I say we, I mean John, we are willing to do that. I would rather you give Hannah 10 grand than me, whatever my $1.43 tax share is going to be to forgive Hannah's student loan. You on board, John? Good deal.
I saw this. Yeah, sure. I saw this argument on Twitter over the weekend, and it basically said if Republicans keep blocking the student loan forgiveness, that's not going to be great for voter turnout for the Republicans in the next election.
For the younger demo,
yeah, for the younger demo.
They weren't voting for us anyway, so I say just who cares?
I'm just saying, we talk a lot about how to sway younger voters to the Republican side of things, and I think that this might not be the way to do it.
So we just need to start handing out cash.
Yeah.
Well,
no.
Republicans.
Of course not.
John's cash. We'll hand out John's cash. That's how we get more people to vote conservatively here in mid-Missouri. Feel Good Friday. Coming up a few minutes from now, life lessons from kind of an
what an honor to play with you this year. What I love about you is just the way that you conduct yourself, off the field and the field, the great teammate that you are. And what an honor, just to say I played.
That's a guy who won the MVP while playing for the Cardinals 3 times, congratulating his buddy and teammate last year, Paul Goldschmidt, first baseman for the Cardinals. He wins the National League MVP yesterday, and I thought it was pretty cool. Paul Goldschmidt, really one of the good guys in sports. We give, national news outlets, they give a lot of love to athletes that stir up controversy and say stupid things. And I wish they'd spend more time talking about good guys like Paul Goldschmidt and Albert Pujols. I wish they would make the news more. Paul Goldschmidt, after receiving his MVP yesterday.
Oh, it's great. It's a great honor. It's, but it isn't just about me. I mean, it is about the teammates I had and the coaches and guys I played with in the past, even guys I haven't played with. I've learned a lot from a lot of different players, and I think it means a lot to all of those people, and I hope they know how much of an effect they had on my career, my family here, my parents. I mean, coaches that go all the way back to Little League and select ball and scouts and minor league coaches and, just different organizations. I mean, there's been so many people that have helped me, and, I just feel like God has blessed me to surround me with great people, and I've just tried to soak up their knowledge and wisdom and try to use it to the best of my ability. So whether I won this or not, it was going to be a great year. This was my best year and the most fun I had, playing with Nolan and Albert and so many guys we had. So it was just incredible.
So I think what I think is cool, yeah, you know what I mean? And he's saying, and he means it. He's sitting while he's having this conversation, he's on the couch and he's got his wife by his side and he's got his 2.9 kids there, and he's just saying all these things. But I think the big, for me anyway, it's just a good reminder. I love he said the words, "It's not about me," about other people in life, doing things for other people. And I think about the people that I get to, and I don't want to get mushy here, but the people that I get to surround myself with personally or professionally. Like Hannah could be a very sweet, thoughtful person. I love Stephanie's mantra. Whatever you're doing, whether you're a county commissioner or you're a dog catcher in Randolph County, it's whatever you make of it. Things are what can you make of it? Can you find that in yourself to make this even more? And I think about, who doesn't like to be around Brian Houseworth? How many times, and I'm only saying this because he's not here in the studio right this minute. He's in the newsroom working. And I say this in a kind way. How many times, Hannah, while we're crossing through the Wake Up Mid-Missouri offices throughout the day, how many times does Brian Houseworth say hello to you and greet you?
At least 10.
Yeah. And it's a sweet thing because he is just such a sweet guy. And I think about John Marsh and his dedication to professionalism and serving the community he lives in, because it's not about John Marsh. It's about, hey, what can I do for Mid-Missouri? What can I do? You didn't, and you came... Yeah, he's won several. As a matter of fact, while he was chatting with ESPN yesterday, they even joked, said, "Man, you got enough room on that mantle?" Yeah, pretty impressive. And just as a huge Cardinals fan, as most of us are around here in Mid-Missouri, it was just really cool to see somebody like him to be honored with that award, and to hear him, just come out and say, I think, what are good things, because so often the athletes we highlight, I don't even know, the NBA player who's in all kinds of trouble, and talk about all these other players that are surly or just me. Whether they're in legal trouble or controversy or not, I'll go back to Barry Bonds, the steroids issue aside. He did himself no favors because he was just, he just seemed to be a mean, miserable person. He didn't treat other people well. He thought he was better than other people. Yeah, he was just incredibly mean. It's not about me, says Paul Goldschmidt. What can we do for other people? What can we do for you? Let us know. 874-9390, 874-9390 is Wake Up Mid-Missouri. advice from the Florida Governor, Ron DeSantis. People just need to chill out a little bit. He's one of my winners of the week because this week he was asked about, hey, I heard reporters asking him, civil war in the GOP, and what do you think about that? His response?
No, look, I think we just finished this election. Okay, people just need to chill out a little bit on some of this stuff. I mean, seriously, we just ran an election.
Chill out, man.
I thought he was talking about all of the liberal tiers last night on Twitter, because they are completely melting down about the future of Twitter. And it makes me laugh. But they are, and they're melting down on Twitter. And even Elon was like, it was Twitter's best day ever. And so it's like, you are being massively trolled here.
It's like, I'm watching this and I'm on by the way, you can hit up Stephanie on Twitter.
Or just follow me. You don't have to hit me up. Stephanie S. Bell.
I don't know the proper phraseology, and then you can also send Hannah a friend request on Twitter.
Yeah, or you can follow me, producer_Hannah.
And you can give a like to Brian Houseworth on Twitter.
Good. At Brian on the air.
And Marcia and I are on there somewhere too. Yeah, and I'm the same. And I know I'm supposed to be taking a more of an active role in the Twitter, but man, as a 51-year-old guy, and it's not like I'm rebelling against it.
You just don't know how to use it.
Yes, there is some of that. And then my ego comes into play because on the few times let me go here. I'm afraid to ask for help on it. Because the few times I try to dangle my legs, I get people, well, you're not supposed to do it that way. Here's how you do it. You know what you did. And so then it's my ego, and I'm afraid to go and ask for help. And frankly, I'm on Facebook. I don't even do anything on my personal. I haven't done it for a while. I just don't have an interest. I'll get on to some of the stuff because you can find some fantastic newsworthy items on the Twitter.
There's a lot of negativity on there too.
Well, that's the thing. Every time I get on there,
negative.
I'm like, no, man.
Well, yeah, but even on a Saturday tomorrow, these people on there they'll act like it's the end of the world if their local football team, whatever state they're in, doesn't win. It is very toxic. Nonetheless, it is important.
So it has been interesting to follow. People are losing their minds about Twitter and what's been happening. And Triggered, I'm thinking, man, these are like Trump supporters that are upset with Wake Up Mid-Missouri for our coverage and honesty on Donald Trump. I mean, that's what the reaction has been like on Twitter. Elon Musk sent out a memo that said, hey, listen, we got to buckle down and get to work. And the people at Twitter, what do you mean you want us to work? We're used to coming in our flip-flops at work and eating granola bars and all these perks that we get for working for a high-tech social media company. What do you mean work? I mean, they're like in tears, man. Mm-hmm. It's insane.
Yeah, it's awful. And imagine imagine someone here at Zimmer saying like, hey, if you're not showing up ready to work every day, then maybe you should find a different job. I think that's like a basic ask, right? Like, hey, this is a company, we have, goals, and we need people to show up at their best. And I feel like that's a fairly safe ask. And I think, and a lot of them are jumping ship and then they're going straight to social media. And I saw some of them actually like tagging journalists, be like, if you want to talk to me. And they're like, they all want their like 10 seconds of fame or whatever too. It's just like, no, thank you.
Here in Missouri yesterday, I don't know if it happened at any of the Starbucks locally, but I know in St. Louis, this was happening, and it's kind of along the same lines. People, well, I want more money, and I want better. I want all this.
What do we do? Stand up, fight back. What do we do? No coffee. No contract. No coffee.
No coffee, no contract. Starbucks folks. Yeah. No coffee, no peace. Isn't that great? You take one of those great things that the triggered liberals do. No justice, no peace. No justice, no peace. No coffee, no contract, no con. Wow.
Well, they will. A lot of them will go on strike though if they don't get. I mean, I've seen that before. They'll actually go on strike. They've tried to unionize some of the McDonald's restaurants and other things like that. That has been the biggest kind of, and I don't think people realize that, especially if you didn't grow up in a union household. I did. My father's a fourth generation bricklayer, AFL-CIO, yeah, absolutely. AFL-CIO, and they were the 70s, 80s, 90s. By the way, a lot of those union members that I knew, they voted Republican.
And
they probably still do, a lot of them. I can't speak for them, but I know then they all voted for Reagan. A lot of them did. They voted for Richard Nixon, too. A lot of them voted for Jimmy Carter, a Democrat. But the thing that's changed about these unions is what you just played there, that was not happening in the 70s, 80s. It was construction unions, trade unionists, boiler makers, bricklayers.
I was just thinking, didn't our library just unionize? Can you wait for no contract, no books, contract, no books?
But that has been a change in the union. The union movement has gained members by basically organizing places like Starbucks and stuff. That's not for me to decide if that's good or bad, but that has been a change. You did not really see that then. And the main goals back in those days of the unions was about OSHA. It was about worker safety and protecting workplace. Well, and they were, but there's still a lot of support for the unions, though. If you go back to the right to work vote a couple of years ago, I think it was 70% of Missourians said no to right to work. But this, I believe, I clarify this, Brandon, I believe that restaurant you were playing, I think that's in St. Louis.
That's in St. Louis. I didn't, maybe you saw something locally yesterday at any of the Starbucks here in mid-Missouri. If so, you can always reach out to us via text, 874-9390. I didn't see it. And these people, well, we want more money and we want this. And then if I were Elon Musk, who I assume probably owns Starbucks also, if I were Elon Musk, I would kick these people. Listen, and there's some talent to being a barista. I'm assuming I've never been a barista. But let's be realistic about what that job entails compared to somebody like Brian Houseworth's father and the father before him and the one before that who were building things with bricks and mortar. These people make coffee, and I'm not dismissing if you make coffee, don't be mad. I'm not criticizing you, but really, we want more money? Well, then work for it or do something else. Come on, man.
In the Service Employee International Union, I believe, is the SIEU, I believe, very, very powerful, and they are organizing. Not sure what union that would be in St. Louis. It could be that one. There are other ones as well, but they have definitely been. They've definitely been looking at some of those facilities. And Stephanie's right. The Daniel Boone Regional Library, those workers did unionize as well. So we have seen an increase in that. I still think the majority of the union members, and bus drivers as well, but they're going to be primarily the trade unionists.
There's one person on Twitter speculating that Elon's doing something called whaling, and that's trying to find the whales. And it's based on the common refrain, 90% of the work is done by 10% of the people. And so Elon is trying to figure out who are my 10% of the people who really know what's going on, who really are working hard. I'm going to, go all in on those people and just cut the fat.
What would you call the union for people that make... So CMU wouldn't stand for like Central Methodist University anymore. It'd be the Coffee Makers Union or something. What would you call that union? You make coffee, man.
I would say, again, it's a great question. I do think, and without seeing... my gut feeling is that's probably the Service Employees International Union.
I assume they're part of a broader coalition.
Yeah, it would be because that would probably apply. They represent janitors as well. They do have, I will say, they do have. I just didn't hear about them when I was growing up, just didn't. And I would read the Labor Tribune in St. Louis. It profiled all the unions, so I think their power has definitely gone up. Not saying the trade unions have gone down, but obviously we'll see what happens there at that St. Louis store.
IBOP, I like it, John. International Brotherhood of Perks, IBOP. Off the text, 874-9390. Hannah, you don't want to read the Paul text?
No.
I feel like it's self-serving if I read. Brandon, you're such a great ass kisser that you'd be an excellent barista. I'm not sure I understand that one there. Marsh.
You want that special chocolate from Mexico.
Oh, God. You want me to stir that for you? Tyler says, Marsh, don't feel bad. I'm 34, and I don't know how to use Twitter either. I don't even have an account. And
And John will know, I'll tell you, the unions in Jefferson City specifically traditionally have primarily been more of the trade unionists for sure. They definitely are there, but also I'm thinking, I still call it Westinghouse. Those of us I still call it Westinghouse, ABB. Yeah, IBEW. I think they still are Hitachi, but there was a time, John, where there was a strike and no one crossed that picket line. And the union people did not want you to cross it either. So yeah, that was there. But this Service Employee International Union definitely is growing.
Arrowhead Field. Does anybody know how many people at Arrowhead seat? I think it's like over 70,000 for football, but for a music concert,
I assume it's the same amount. I don't know if they take seats out for that.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never been to a concert at Arrowhead, and I am also not only am I not good at Twitter, I'm also not good at Google searches. Searching.
I was going to say, Steph is going to get mad at you.
How many people? Oh, I've typed it. I've Googled it. Look, I got it up here on the computer. How many people does Arrowhead Stadium hold for a concert? And quickly, I'm not finding an answer.
I mean, it says 76,000. I think that's for football, but I think it'd be similar, except on the people on the floor.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So Taylor Swift's supposed to be doing 2 concerts coming up next summer. So 150,000 people at least going to be going to Taylor Swift concerts here in Missouri. She's got a blank space for St. Louis. She's not playing St. Louis.
Was that a Taylor Swift joke?
Thank you, Hannah.
What?
He's a Swiftie,
wow.
A closet Swiftie.
Let's shake it off and move forward.
Whoa. Your reputation is not one of a Swiftie.
874-9390, 874-9390. Massive messes with Ticketmaster yesterday, and I don't know what the sales are doing for Arrowhead Stadium, but it's a horror. And the bigger issue is Ticketmaster and what they've done. You think about how many hundreds of thousands of people, how many thousands of people here in mid-Missouri trying to buy Taylor Swift concert tickets for the kids yesterday, and it was a massive mess.
Some people are going to have a sad Christmas morning because they're not even opening them to the public, and now the liberals are freaking out that they can't get their Taylor Swift tickets, and they're like, the government must help me get my Taylor Swift tickets. Oh my goodness! And so they're calling on Ticketmaster to be investigated.
You want us to pay off your student debt, or you want to go to Taylor Swift?
Or even better, get a hold of those Taylor Swift tickets, put them on a third-party site. I hear they're going for like about 10 G's.
Yeah.
So there's your student loan payment right there.
Jerry, I've got 30 seconds for you, buddy. What's on your mind on a Feel Good Friday?
Okay, I'm calling for some corrections. I worked at the ABB plant, and they were UAW, and there was many people that crossed the line, and the people lost money from what the company originally offered them in raises on the strike in 2002 or whatever.
Okay. All right, cool. Well, yeah. Thank you, dude. We appreciate that. What are you grateful for on a Feel Good Friday, Jerry?
It's Friday, and I'm 65, and I'm going to have 2 days off. I'm still working, man.
Amen, brother. We appreciate you. Coming up 5 minutes from now, 7:25-ish. What's hot with Hannah? And by the way, Hannah's a real trooper this morning. She's still not feeling well, but she is here infecting everybody else with her illness to bring us.
I'm on antibiotics, okay?
Oh, what's hot with Hannah today?
Well, now you got me all flustered. Somebody found a big old check for a company, and they did the Good Samaritan thing and returned it, and they did not get any reward.
Oh, interesting story. We're doing that for you. That's what's hot with Hannah. 7:25-ish. We're doing that here on Wake Up Mid-Missouri on 93.9 The Eagle and 104.5 News Radio 950 KWOS. Good morning. Good morning, 7:25-ish, which means it's 7:28. Time for What's Hot with Hannah.
Wow, I didn't get to say the time.
Well, I'm trying to save you some speaking time because
okay.
I know you're not feeling well.
Well, thanks.
Yeah.
So, did you see this story a couple months ago about a German guy who found a $4.8 million check made out to the candy company Haribo? He just found it at a bus station, basically. He saw a little piece of paper flapping in the wind, and he went over and picked it up, and it was a check made out to Haribo for almost $5 million. Okay, so he decides to do the good Samaritan thing. He contacts Haribo, tells them he found this check, and, they ask him to send over proof, or to send pictures of the check and then to destroy it, basically. He does that, and they proceed to show their gratitude to this gentleman.
Cool.
By sending him 6 little packages of gummy bears in the mail.
What?
Not cool.
That's all they sent him for saving this company, almost $5 million.
Is there an expectation, though? And I think, yeah, you would think, oh, hey, here's a bunch of money, man. Thank you, because you just gave a $5 million check. Here's some money or some gummy bears. Take your pick. I would assume. But we get that expectation whenever we return something valuable. There's an expectation that we should get a reward for it.
It makes you think differently about the company.
Amen.
6 little bags would be like $6.
Let's cancel Haribo gummy bears. I'm no longer buying Haribo gummy bears. Welcome into a Feel Good Friday. Winners and losers of the week about an hour from now. Get your text in coming up here at 874-9390.
you ever watch a movie late at night, think the movie gonna get better, it don't get no better, you keep watching it anyway? I was watching this movie, Fright Night, Freak Night, some sort of movie, but it was a bunch of vampires in the movie. Didn't notice, but vampires are pretty cool people, aren't they? We all agree on that. I was watching that movie, Fright Night, about the vampires. I didn't know this. Did you know that a werewolf could kill a vampire? I didn't know that. I found that out. I was like, I want to be a werewolf. I don't want to be a vampire no more. And those are the exact words verbatim from Herschel Walker and campaign.
So that's comedian Roy Wood. I know that's not the best quality. It may have been a little hard to understand, but he was talking about watching bad movies and you wait for it to get better and werewolves can beat vampires. I know it may have been a little hard to understand. And then at the end, he says those are the exact words that Herschel Walker used. That is stand-up comedian doing a set. I think he was in New York just the other night doing that set. He's saying those are the exact words that Herschel Walker recently gave in a campaign speech. And I said, nah, you're a comedian. That's not true.
Oh, you ever watch a stupid movie late at night hoping it's going to get better, don't get better, but you keep watching it anyway?
This is Herschel Walker, by the way.
The other night, I was watching this movie. Called Fright Night, Freak Night, or some type of night, but it was about vampires. I don't know if you know vampires are some cool people, are they not? But I'm going to tell you something that I found out. A werewolf can kill a vampire. Did you know that? I never knew that, so I didn't want to be a vampire anymore. I wanted to be a werewolf. But then anyway.
I don't know the rest of the context of that.
If you would have told me that was Kenan Thompson on SNL, I would have, because he did Herschel Walker a couple weeks ago. I would have been like, yeah, that's totally SNL.
I love that. It was, and incidentally, it sounds like Herschel Walker got better response from the crowd than
so weird
than the comedian. So the comedian, without telling the audience, he gets up and does this, and people are laughing at it. Welcome into the show, and welcome into a Feel Good Friday. One of our Wake Up family members via text, Brenda. I love what it is that she's grateful for, what it is she's feeling good about on a Feel Good Friday. She's my Feel Good Friday. My chicken plucker came in. It's time to put some chicken in the freezer. My chicken plucker. I love it. We appreciate you reaching out to us. 874-9390. Getting a nice list of winners and losers of the week, too, via text. We have a local media outlet who, it's interesting, this local media outlet, they were already on my list. And the listener, unsolicited, sent in the same same thing. So get your list together. And we like winners. It's easy to pick easy to pick losers of the week in this realm that we hang out in. But we like winners too. And the more localer, the more betterer. We appreciate that. You can reach out to us via text 874-9390. That reminds me, Herschel Walker incidentally made a really good point. And the point wasn't that a werewolf could beat a vampire. That wasn't the good point. I thought he really did make a really excellent point here.
Oh, you ever watch a stupid movie late at night hoping it's going to get better, don't get better, but you keep watching it anyway?
Yes.
You've never watched a movie, you fall asleep.
You're right. And the last time I did that was last weekend. I'm trying to get in the Christmas spirit, John. I'm getting ready to go to see the grandkids. It's the Friday before Thanksgiving. I listen to Christmas music today. I'm ready, man. It's the Friday before Thanksgiving. I think a lot of us, wherever you work, whatever we do, and I could be wrong. Okay, Stephanie Bell would be an exception. But I think a lot of us, isn't today the day we start check out a little bit it's the Friday before Thanksgiving. Number one, it's a feel-good Friday here in mid-Missouri. You're listening to Wake Up Mid-Missouri, right? It's Friday. We've got the weekend. We've got Mizzou football. We'll have a short week next week, and then a long weekend. Our weekend will be, for most people, the weekend is going to be longer than the work week. And then it's a mad dash to Christmas. It's like this is
a couple weeks after that. In the state, of course, is
again with the exception of Stephanie Bell.
Yeah, I got 2 trials next week, so yeah, I'm definitely just on vacation already.
The
cool.
docket over at Boone County, there's a high-profile case I intend to go over to next week if it still happens in Boone County. But the state, for sure, with the governor's executive order, state employees will have both Thanksgiving and Friday off. Technically, the city points out a lot of people use the term Black Friday, but I believe it Native American Heritage Day on Friday, the day after Thanksgiving. But bottom line, both days the state employees will be off.
I learned something new from the TikTok this week.
Okay.
Have you ever heard of Travel Tuesday?
No.
Well, so Black Friday, then Cyber Monday, and then they said the next Tuesday is the best deals for travel. The travel industry has taken that over, and I had not heard that. But they said if you were trying to book travel the Tuesday after Black Friday, everything's going to be on sale. So I've got that on my calendar.
Heads up. Yeah, by the way, I'm always a big fan of flying out of our local airport here in mid-Missouri, Columbia Regional Airport, and I'm willing to pay an extra $200 to $300 my time to KC or St. Louis. Gas money, parking, definitely worth it. And it's a real gem of an airport, especially now with the improvements that have been made. But the past 2 times, and this is not a knock on the Columbia Regional Airport, it's the way the airlines work. Past 2 times I'm flying out of St. Louis because it is double. It's double right now. Please don't let that discourage you from at least checking out Columbia Regional Airport. And yeah, usually it is a little bit more expensive. Definitely, absolutely, for me anyway, way worth it.
I have 3 flights on the books between now and February out of Columbia. And if you book far enough out, depending on where and when you're going, it can still be pretty reasonable.
You ever try flying from Columbia, Missouri to Boise, Idaho?
No.
It can be I have to fly from Columbia to Taiwan and then back to Idaho. It's crazy. But Herschel Walker's point there about watching a bad movie, you think it's bad. So Saturday, I'm trying to get in the Christmas spirit, and I'm watching this movie. There's some movies every Christmas I love to watch.
You turned on the Hallmark Channel.
Yes, I think it was the Hallmark Channel. And it was, remember the Hallmark Christmas movie? It was about this this woman. She goes back on Christmas break to her little hometown, which is nestled in the mountains of Maine, and she runs into her old boyfriend there, and he owns a little gift shop, and it snows the whole time. Remember that movie? And they fall in love again?
That's every Hallmark movie ever.
So I'm watching the Hallmark Channel, and a Christmas Story comes on.
Okay.
I have never in my entire life watched that entire movie.
It's been a long time.
Yeah, so I thought, okay, this is the time I'm going to watch this movie. I'm going to watch A Christmas Story, the BB gun, you poke your eye out, the kid who puts his tongue on the post and gets it stuck there because it's frozen. I'm going to watch this. Man, I got 45 minutes into it this time. I can't get in this movie. So I'm with Herschel Walker. I keep watching the movie, and it does nothing for me, and I'm probably in the minority. Does somebody know what is it with that movie, A Christmas Story, that I don't. No vampires and werewolves that would beat Ralphie or Santa Claus. I do not get it with that movie. But to Herschel Walker's point, I'm watching A Christmas Story again, and I don't find it stupid. It's just
I don't mind turning off the movie. My thing is a book. If you get halfway into a book and you're like, this book sucks.
One more page.
Yeah, and then you're already invested. And I saw someone don't waste your life reading bad books. Just put the book down and do something else. I cannot bring myself to do that.
So I turned off A Christmas Story. I still cannot get into that movie. It's just incredibly boring and it's not entertaining. And I get it. People love it. Maybe I'm missing something. So let me know. But here's me. So what did I put in? Christmas Vacation, National Lampoon's.
Of course you did.
Bad Santa, that is a different kind of Christmas movie. But I will watch it. But are there movies that you've watched, John, that you're like, okay, I'm watching it and okay, it's kind of boring, but it's gonna pick up, it's gonna get better. And it doesn't happen. Or there's a movie that everybody loves and everybody watches and you just don't get. Do you have a movie like that? Star Wars movies.
Yeah, they're not for me.
It's just never done anything for me.
But then, have you ever watched an old movie and it's exceeded your expectations?
Yes.
My kids had not seen E.T., and we took them the other weekend to Lakeside Ashland, watched it outside, and I was like, ooh, I haven't seen this in a while. Like, I can't really remember all the parts. I'm not sure they're going to be impressed with, like, the CGI stuff, any of it. And they were tickled. I was tickled. I was like, this movie gives me all the feels still. It was great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Really? See, and I can sit and watch. I can watch that movie. It didn't bother me so much. But maybe that's one of those more like I have to. You're supposed to watch it. It's required by law. You have to watch It's a Wonderful Life Thanksgiving night on NBC or whenever it's on, or the Friday thereafter. I don't mind that movie at all. Some text 874-9390. Uh-oh, there it is. Thanks, Brant. This comes up every year.
Die Hard. LOL.
Is it a Christmas movie or not? Stuart says, has anybody seen the movie The English Patient? I've never seen it. Says the movie was stupid. I remember one time I was doing Top 40 radio years ago, and there was a movie, and I forget what it was about, but it was My Left Foot or something like that, and it was kind of a very deep, emotional movie. And one of the folks in the radio said, what a stupid movie, and he almost lost his job because of that comment. Coming up 5 minutes from now here on, right? You shouldn't say stuff like that, but that's what made it so... Yeah, the movie. Hey, don't talk about our movies like that. Coming up 5 minutes from now here on Wake Up Mid-Missouri. Hannah had a great story for What's Hot with Hannah. We hear these stories, people find something of value or whatever, but this dude found a check for almost $5 million that was supposed to go to the Haribo Candy Company. They make the gummy bears. Basically, he gives it back, and Haribo, to show their appreciation, sent him some gummy bears. So it's a story kind of like that, but it happened here in Missouri. It's not quite like that. It's a
Don't forget Korea. Don't forget Vietnam. And these patriots that have fought recently. We can't forget our veterans.
Amen, brother. That is retired Army Colonel Don Patton. He was hailed as the ultimate patriot. Fox Nation. They do the Patriot Awards, kind of relatively new. They've been doing it for a couple of years now. He was recognized as the ultimate patriot. Big award show last night, and they honored a whole bunch of people. The reporter who was injured in bombing overseas earlier this year, he was honored. He was honored because of his work in making sure people, hey, let's not forget World War II, but because we always, never forget and remember the sacrifices, but he takes it a step further. The guy has done incredible work. There's a veteran in St. Louis. The guy's name is Marcus Rowe, and this is south of St. Louis, so if you're cruising down 55, technically you'd be in the county, and he pulls into a gas station. He's pulling up his car, and that's always, when you fill up your gas or fill up your car with gas and you're standing there, always kind of seems like a weird, because you're just standing there. And unless you're checking your oil, cleaning off your windshield, you're just standing there. You ain't doing nothing. You're standing there. Maybe peeking in the trash, which is...
No, I'm not looking in the trash at the gas station.
What do we have over here?
Not part of my regular day.
Because, John, you'll find some weird stuff, especially in a gas station trash can. Are you serious? You worked at a gas station? Really?
The one in Jeff City? I'm wondering which one now, because when I grew up, I didn't learn to pump gas till I was in college, because I went to the full service station. God. It was wonderful.
Remind me to finish this story, but stop for
Let's
a second.
Bring that back.
About this dude, about this veteran in St. Louis, because I want you to hear what he did. It's really cool. You didn't learn. So John worked at a gas station. Did you wear a bow tie and like the little chef's kind of hat thing they used to wear back in the day? No?
Oh.
Gosh. And then Stephanie Bell, who hangs out with people like Tom Cotton and Shinzo Abe and used to hang out with people like that, and you didn't learn how to pump gas into your car until you were in college.
Cars are not my thing. And there was a full service gas station. I will say my parents had an account there, and so that's what I did. I went there, and I
need just gas here. You do it. That's astounding. Compared to...
I try still to this day not to do it. If Mr. Bell is available, I'm like, please pump my gas. I hate it.
So this dude, retired Army Colonel Don Patton, he's at the gas station. And he pulls up, and you do nothing when you're pumping your gas. He looks in the trash can, and I guess happens to see, well, this looks like a photo album.
And he sticks his hand in the gas station trash can.
And pulls out a photo album.
Nope.
And
what kind of photos do you think are in a photo album at a gas station?
So that would be my first take. If I happen to be at a break time in Ashland off of 63, and if I happen to be looking through a trash can to see what's in there, and I happen to see a photo album, and if for some strange reason I'm bizarre enough to dig my hand in there to pull out the photo album, I'm afraid to see what is in the photo album that somebody, because listen, I think when you throw stuff, or some people, when you're throwing stuff away at a gas station, number one, I get it's easy, you're cleaning out your car, but also it's stuff you don't want to throw out at home. So you're putting some stuff in the trash you don't want other... Or you're putting stuff in there you don't want other people to find.
Possibly.
This guy, so he finds a photo album, and it's an elderly woman, and this guy spends months trying to find out who the owner is. Eventually, after he goes on to the NBC affiliate KSDK in St. Louis, they showed some pictures. They were able to find the rightful owners of this photo album, and he's got a great, kind of a great take on it without being braggadocious.
It was just odd finding photo albums in a gas station trash can, and this was kind of a sign for me to do my good deed. This has to get back to the person that owns them, and Somebody wants these out here. I feel like you have to do one good deed every day.
Very nice, man. I dig that. Welcome into a Feel Good Friday coming up. Maybe like 8:10. I think we ought to open up the mailbag. It's getting as big as Santa's gift bag. We'll do that at 8:10 here on Wake Up Mid-Missouri. style a little bit here on Wake Up Mid-Missouri this morning. We are
chilling out.
Amen, Sister Stephanie. There is producer Hannah. We are so glad that you are back today.
Thanks.
I'm being serious. I miss when you're not sitting in here with us. And I'm going to stop because I'll start getting all sappy. There's John Marsh. John, I love it that you're in here with us, too. Brian House, and I mean that Brian Houseworth is here, too. My name is Branden Rathert. A couple of big things this morning. Pelosi out, Biden investigation in. It's kind of a big story out of D.C. and I know Gary, he likes to do the Frost Your Buns Friday on the Gary Nolan show on Fridays. He starts at 9 o'clock, but like on Fridays, it's like whatever frost your buns, you can call into the Gary Nolan show, and always anxious to hear his take on the. And here's the thing, if you're a newer to politics, trying to figure out what's going on. Ultimately, this thing, so Biden investigation, what is it? So now that Republicans are going to be controlling the U.S. House of Representatives, are saying, hey, we need to look at the ties between the guy who sits in the Oval Office and eats pudding and take naps and his son apparently, allegedly using his name to wield foreign influence. This is an incredibly dangerous thing. That's the bottom line. That is in. Pelosi is out, and that's about the only thing I can think of. Weather today up to 30, and I want to dare you to do something right now. I dare you to join us at the Tiger Tailgate tomorrow. We do this
talking about frost your buns. It's gonna be pretty cold.
Temperatures in the 20s, and even during the day. But it's a 6:30 kickoff, though.
Right. So it's night, and the bigger thing, it's not just the temps; it's the wind chills.
Yeah. It's going to be rough, and and New Mexico State's coming to town. You know, they may be a little more used than Missouri to playing in this kind of, because most of the Missouri games have been pretty good weather, and have been, actually, several of them hot weather, where we're talking about heat, and you have, that's a different type of thing to contend with. But I think it'll be tough for the people in the stands.
I specifically remember in law school, I waited till my third year to buy tickets, and I was like, okay, we're all in. And I was like, we're going to go to every game. And I went to this game, and I remember I had taken those hot hands thing and like lined every pocket, my shoes, all the way, and I was like, and at halftime, I was like, I can't do it anymore. I tried really hard, but I'm so cold.
Yes. It's going to be chilly, but the wind chill, I think, like in the mid-teens. It's going to be dark when it's kickoff. So I dare you to come to join us at our 93.9 The Eagle, 104.5 News Radio 950 KWOS Tiger Tailgate, brought to you by Culligan of Mid-Missouri. High Noon Hard Seltzers, Buffalo Wild Wings, Bud Light. And here's what you do. You go to places. So, like if you're in Columbia, you can go to Fringe Western Wear on Vandiver. In Jefferson City, you can go to Carrie's Hallmark Shop on High Street. If you're in Mexico, you can go to Graff & Sons. You just walk in. And by the way, when you walk in, it's not like these people are going to try to sell you something. You just walk in. Hey, where can I get my free Tiger Tailgate passes? I heard Houseworth and Steph and Marsh and Hannah talking about it on the radio this morning. What do I... And they'll just give you some passes. We'll feed you. It starts 2 hours prior to kickoff. Kickoff, when you said
6:30. Technically 6:31, but yes, 6:30.
And that's why we love Brian Houseworth.
Yeah. I always get a kick when I'm on Alabama. I always talk about him. People are surprised because I say when it's the CBS game in the paper, it always says 2:30, but it's 2:37 or 2:39 depending on when it is. Yeah. So when you're at 2:30, it's 2:37. This is 6:31, but goodness gracious, it's going to be cold.
So the Tiger Tailgate will open up at
4:31.
I can see you at the gate with a stopwatch. It's 4:30. You got one more minute before you can come in, and you're standing there with your arms folded and like a crossing guard. You're not getting in until it's 4:31.
That's right.
By the way, for real.
Yes, sir.
Winner of the week. This is off the text. Brian Houseworth for his consistently great investigative journalism.
We appreciate that. Thank you for the nice, kind words. I appreciate that. Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Very kind.
While we're digging around in here,
Letters.
Go ahead and read all of them.
I get letters.
Well, not all of them.
So many letters.
We don't get letters. We get texts.
A whole bunch of letters.
Man, we got a lot this week, too.
I'd even read mail from a cow.
874-9390. 874-9390. And kind of want to mention this if you've been hanging out with the Wake Up Mid-Missouri family for a while. We love the text. A lot of folks saying it's so easier than calling. I can just send off a text and I don't have to wait on hold. It's a great way to get in touch with you guys. And the other thing apparently that people really dig is previously we've done a really good job of responding to just about every. You might send us more than one text, but we always respond, whether it's on air or via text.
Or behind your back.
Yes. And it's getting a little bit more challenging recently because, and I'm not trying, I don't want to sound like we're bragging here.
Well, we were down Hannah yesterday, and you and I were having a lot of trouble keeping up.
But what we have found since the tragic events of January the 20th of 2021, we're getting an influx, and we continue to get this massive influx of younger people, people newer to politics, even people that aren't younger, people that are older, that are going, I've never been an astute observer of politics, but I want to know what's going on. I want to know how this has affected me. So anyhow, we've just got this massive influx of listeners. I'm not saying that to brag, so we get more text. So I want you to know if we're not responding to your text, it's
because Brandon is crabby that you're fact-checking him. Because Ralph is helping us out here.
Please know that we're responding as much as we can, and I want you to know we appreciate that, and we read all of them, and we try to, if we're not responding personally, we're at least trying to cover them on air. What's in the mailbag this morning?
Well, you were trying to estimate how many people are actually going to see Taylor Swift in KC, and Ralph is reminding us, he said he went to the Straight Stapleton concert, and he said that he thinks there was around 60,000 because, of course, the stage goes at one end, so it blocks a whole section. And so the stadium itself holds about 75,000 people. We're not exactly sure how many Taylor Swift tickets went on sale, but not that many more than 75. He's saying he thinks it's about 60.
About 60, and she's doing 2 shows. As a matter of fact, that's why Hannah wasn't here yesterday. She waited in queue all day yesterday to buy her Taylor Swift tickets.
No.
That's not true.
It's like the men that are really obsessed with sports that have the multiple screens going on the weekend. Do you know that the Swifties probably had like multiple devices like all in the queue ready to go? And then some people still didn't get their tickets.
Ashley Emmel was on the Randy Tobler show yesterday. Randy's here at 4. She fills in. Ashley comes and hangs out with us and co-hosts once in a while here on Wake Up Mid-Missouri. And she's talking about where her business, she had people, everybody's on their screens, and this is everybody, and it was just a disastrous thing for Ticketmaster. Really, other things in the mailbag this morning. Question from listener Brenda, who is grateful, by the way, that the chicken pluckers are coming today. Is Brenda pulling my leg, or is a chicken plucker, is there a union for chicken pluckers?
I thought it was like a device. Is there like a tool or something, or you just pluck the chickens with your hand? I have no idea.
There are unions that represent, for instance, some of the poultry workers in Missouri, but I'm not aware of.
Okay,
Hannah, didn't you get a degree in ag? Come on, how do you?
Usually, like the chicken pluckers that I've seen, it's kind of like a bin, and it's got a bunch of, I don't know if they're rubber or springs sometimes. And you throw your bird in there and it tosses it around like a washing machine, and it just plucks all the feathers off that way as it tosses around the bin.
Do you kill the chicken first?
Yes.
Okay. I'm just checking. You chicken plucker. Thank you for that, Brenda. We appreciate that.
Who was there was an elected official who killed the chicken in a commercial.
Moon. No, State Senator Mike Moon, and did it on video. Yeah. He did take some enormous criticism for that.
Yeah. Also in the mailbag this morning, as we're digging around, I want to thank a couple of folks for that. We were talking earlier about, specifically happens to be Christmas movies that we don't get. I tried watching A Christmas Story again last weekend. I've never watched that movie all the way through, and I keep trying. At some point, the definition of insanity, you keep doing the same thing
and expecting a different result.
And I keep giving it an honest shot. I have never gotten into the movie A Christmas Story. I tried watching it last weekend, and it's boring. To me, it's stupid. And I get it. People love it. I'm not knocking you, but we've been getting several texts saying, I'm glad you said something. I thought I was the only one that don't get the thing with the Christmas.
In which movie is A
Christmas Story? Ralphie, the BB gun. You shoot your eye out.
Yeah. No, I'm not familiar with that one.
Peter Billingsley, the guy who played Ralphie, there's a remake on one of the cable or streaming services. He has spent a lot of time over the years now behind the camera, directing and stuff like that. We continue to. Oh, Brenda has a question regarding campaign signs. Any idea how long campaign signs? Is there a time limit? They have to be down following an election.
A lot of ordinances, they say you can't put them up before a certain time, and then they have to be down.
So it can be different depending on where you live.
Yeah,
you should find out from your particular city.
There's no statewide law on it, but it does give the jurisdiction to the municipality. So I'm not sure what jurisdictions she is in. We occasionally get that question, and the other question we occasionally get, Brandon, is how long, when a business is going out of business, can they have a going out of business sale? And there are some restrictions on that as well.
Because it used to be a ploy.
Oh, they'd be going out of business all the time,
And then and I remember, and depending on where you live, you could go through the legal arguments where businesses would say, "Hey, if I have freedom of speech to say we're not going out of business, but I can call it a going out of business sale." It's a contentious.
We've gotten calls over that over the years.
Brenda says, "Thanks for the answer there, Steph. Could all the weed smokers please go out and clean up the A3 signs? Thank you for that." And so more text regarding Taylor Swift at Arrowhead and the mess that was with Ticketmaster yesterday. So she's playing 2 concerts there, 120. I'm guessing well over, I can't imagine the hundreds of thousands of people just here in Missouri trying to get those tickets. And what happened with Ticketmaster, they crashed, quit ticket sales. It's just a crazy thing. Coming up, we're going to be doing the Morning Bell business news, a little twist only Stephanie Bell can give you. I'm going to cover it for Steph. She's stepping out for a little bit to do important stuff. Why one of the largest sports shoe manufacturers is front and center. It's coming up 5 minutes from now. Good morning. 8:25. Time for the Morning Bell Business News. A little twist only Stephanie Bell can give you. Stephanie stepped out to do important stuff, so I'll handle this important stuff. Business news. So this is interesting, and it's kind of like, man, paths are crossing between business, commerce, and politics. We've heard people say for a long, long time, and that's why I'm still astounded at some of the election results that happened last week when you have people that lead with leadership in cities like Portland, Oregon, San Francisco, New York City, and all of the inherent problems they have there. And at the problems, it's not because of the people there. It's because of the people that are put in office that are supposed to, handle business. That is the problem, and it affects things. And then if a smart person complains, well, you ain't doing nothing on crime. You're racist. No, we're not racist, man. So check out what is happening. Nike, of course, the homeland for Nike is Portland, Oregon. It is Oregon. Portland Nike stores, they're having to close. They've closed a store, at least one of them. And here's why. Because people keep coming in and steal the stuff. They're stealing the stuff. They have signs up on the door that says, hey, we're closed for the next 7 days. And then beyond that, we're not even sure, because our community leaders, our elected servants, they won't do anything to stop this kind of stuff. They almost incentivize it by saying, well, we should have lesser penalties for some of these crimes. And then if you get arrested, don't worry about bail. So guess what happens? These people say, well, man, I have carte blanche. And we've heard all of the true stories, people going into drugstores in places like San Francisco and in Oregon, where they just go, these people are just going and they're picking stuff off the shelves because they know there's no consequences. There's just no consequences for them. And so now it's affecting Nike in Portland. Several people telling a TV station there that theft has long been an issue. Shoplifting has increased. There's a church. There's a church right near this Nike store, man. And because of these idiot progressives in Portland not doing anything, they're going and stealing it. It's right next to a church, and the church, which has surveillance because the crime is so bad where they are, because people won't do anything about it. Church has a surveillance system up, and they've been capturing footage of thieves fleeing the store with their arms full of stolen merchandise. And you get these employees. I can't imagine how terrified these employees must be. And I don't care what the city is, but people come in and just steal it, and these employees are just standing there. Can't imagine how frightening that must be. I would love for some of these lawmakers who lack the spine or the intelligence to say, we shouldn't go easy on crime. We should be sensible about it, but we shouldn't go easy. I would love to see people like that work at a Walgreens on the corner of 8th and Walnut in San Francisco while people come in and ransack the shelves and just take stuff while you're helpless to do anything about it. Don't call the police. They ain't going to do anything for you. I would like to see elected servants. You go work that drugstore where people just walk in and take your stuff. You work that Nike store in Portland, Oregon, where these people know because there's no penalties. You go work them. I bet that might give them a little bit of context. It's like, Joe, why don't you go to the border and see what's happening there? You might get a different idea of how bad it is there, man. Coming up, Feel Good Friday. Folks sharing what it is they're grateful for today. We appreciate that. Then winners and losers of the week. Hurry, get your winners and losers into us via text 874-9390. The more localer, the more betterer.
Before I start tonight, I just wanted to read a brief statement that I prepared. I denounce anti-Semitism in all its forms. And I stand with my friends in the Jewish community. And that, Kanye, is how you buy yourself some time. I learned that there are two words in the English language that you should never say together in sequence. And those words are the and Jews. I've never heard someone do good after they said that.
Dave Chappelle, much talked about appearance on Saturday Night Live last week, even going into it. People talking, some of the writers said, we refuse to work on the show because we don't like Dave Chappelle's comedy, rah, rah, rah. And then afterwards, the big talking point surrounding that episode of Saturday Night Live, its ratings, massive. But here's what I particularly enjoy. I find Dave Chappelle, he's one of those rare comics that is smart and also funny. He not as funny as, to me, for example, like a George Carlin. Not quite as funny as Carlin, but I like some of those things, man. He is on it. He can cover those touchy subjects because he's got some... I think as Gary Nolan from the Gary Nolan Show calls it, testicular fortitude. He believes in what he is saying, and he is able to somehow overcome that fear on what the backlash is going to be. And then I'm going to go even further. Jerry Seinfeld, who is Jewish, he reacted to that. And what he had to say about Dave Chappelle's opening monologue on Saturday Night Live, I found it worthy enough to put into our winners and losers of the week because of what Seinfeld said. So we're going to be doing that here in a few minutes. Now, I want to do this real quick before we do get into winners and losers. I am a parent. My kid's 30 years old. They're in the grandkids, which are 8, 9, 7, and 5 now. That number keeps changing every year. Like every year it's different, you know? So I have grandkids, but they don't go to school locally. I'm wondering this thing that happened at Hickman, apparently graffiti on the wall, and it sparked all kinds of conversations on social media, police presence. This has been a thing going on for almost, what is this, the third day now, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And I'm just asking a question. I don't want to get too deep into it because we're running out of time here. But I wonder and when I say we, here's my question, and I'll ask both of our news guys, even though I'm not talking about news, did we as a community... I understand the premise. When you see something, say something. I'm wondering, does that get out of hand sometimes? When you see something, you say something. Now, understand, my context is that I don't have a young child in school. My young child's at a school, or my high schooler's at this Hickman High School in Columbia. Yeah, if there's something, and I hate to do the old, well, back in my day, that's not what I'm trying to do here, and we didn't get threats like that. It was just like, somebody wrote some stupid stuff on the bathroom wall, and you don't pay attention to it. And I'll start with I'll start with you, Mr. House. Did we as a community? I'm not talking about news. I'm not talking about news, but just we as a community, as a people. Is that too much anymore?
I don't think it was an overreaction. Okay. I think you have to err on the side of caution. And again, I can only speak for how we handled it.
Not from a news point.
Exactly. Okay. But I mean, clearly from how we handled it, and I think it gets back to how the community handled it, they had increased police protection, 4 police cars at the front door, officers behind the building. They took it seriously, and they had to because... And we don't know if the text that was sent to you was the right one or not. I tend to think it was.
We had a text of allegedly a picture of the bathroom stall and the writing on it.
And also we had a copycat that took credit in another district and also almost did get himself arrested. I mean, just the most bizarre thing. So, no, I don't think they overreacted to it.
Marsh, do you think there were a bunch of parents, actual parents, not just us as a community, but do you think there were parents going, oh, come on, man, really? All of this, 3 days we're talking about this for something that... Okay. Yeah.
And Brandon, just one more quick point about that. If you look at all the comments from parents on some of our websites, some of the Facebook page, if anything, they wanted more information, not less, more.
And now for nominees for the winners and losers of the week.
So I am going to pick one of my winners of the week. I am picking the Columbia Public School District. Yes, I am picking the Columbia. No, I am saying, hey, Columbia Public School District is, as much as I have differences with the mindset of the people that work there and the people that are on the school board, they really did. Michelle Baumstark did an incredible job, I think, of communicating, hey, here's what's going on. Again, I go back to my context. I don't have kids in the schools here, to John's point. Yeah, if this were happening at Ryder's school there in Idaho, the 10-year-old or 9-year-old, or however old he is this year, I would probably have a different take. Brian, who do you got for winners and losers?
I've got two winners. I want to nominate Dr. Nathan Graneman and Gregory Stafford at MU Healthcare for the last month, taking care of me when I had stomach flu. Wonderful work. They did a great job, and thank you for getting me healthy. I'm very grateful. And also I'm nominating Gary Pinkel. Gary Pinkel tonight, Brandon, who's a frequent guest on the show. He is going to be inducted tonight into the University of Missouri Sports Athletics Hall of Fame. I think it's great, and he's very humble, as you know. He's also going to get an even bigger honor here around Thanksgiving weekend, and then one at the SEC, but congratulations.
By the way, if you're still a hater of Gary Pinkel because of 2015 and the inaccurate perception about the whole thing with concerned student 1950, Melissa Click, all that stuff during that craziness in back in 2015, do me a favor, please. Somewhere we have the podcast in our conversation with Gary Pinkel. Sure. And he's got a book that one of the writers from the Post-Dispatch, I think did they ghostwrite it for him?
I believe Dave Matter and him wrote it together, if I'm not mistaken.
Read that book if you're still a hater of Gary Pinkel. And I wanted to I'm going to pick Stephanie Bell, one of our winners of the week. I think obviously a lot of us know by now what she's involved with on a statewide, national level, and the things she does and what she does here on the Wake Up Mid-Missouri family. But like a day like yesterday, she ducks out of the confines here of Wake Up Mid-Missouri a little bit early, goes to Springfield and does some massive event with senators, and it was a send-off tour. It was like a Cher concert for Roy Blunt or something. You ever seen Cher's Farewell Tour? It was like that. And then after she leaves Wake Up Mid-Missouri here in Mid-Missouri, goes to Springfield, does a big event down there, turns around, she gets back into her car, and she turns around, comes right back up through Jeff City, through Ashland, through Columbia, goes to Sturgeon and does some big event up there. So she, I think she deserves to be one of our winners of the week. Marsh, what are you looking at? The reasoning? Are we getting a sense of the reason? People saying, well, we can't believe they're putting this $85 million bond issue in Jefferson City School District. Is there some reasoning behind that? Yeah. I'm picking. Oh, did you have more on your list? Okay. One winner. Who's your winner? What for?
Oh, you ever watch a stupid movie late? Oh, you ever watch a stupid movie late at night, hoping it's gonna get better, don't get better, but you keep watching it anyway? Because the other night I was watching this movie. I was watching this movie called Freak Night, or some type of night, but it was about vampires. I don't know if you know vampires are cool people, are they not? But I'm gonna tell you something that I found out. A werewolf can kill a vampire. Did you know that? I never knew that, so I didn't want to be a vampire anymore. I wanted to be a werewolf. But then
It's not
anyway.
a campaign speech. Comedian later that night, it's comedian Roy Wood is the guy's name. He gets up, doesn't tell the audience. He gets up and does like some stand-up comedy, verbatim, did what Herschel Walker did. And it was hilarious because you hear it in that. It's just crazy. Herschel Walker in a campaign speech there.
Mr. Walker came here to Columbia, Brandon, in 1998 and spoke at the Hearn Center. And his topic was growing up in poverty and his speech impediment. He grew up with a speech impediment and was mocked and ridiculed. And he really, I remember, it was very emotional. He does, national champion.
Brand new texter, John. First time ever texting Wake Up Mid-Missouri. Love that. 874-9390 if you want to text us. I'm picking him as a winner just for this out-of-context first-time text into the show. Taylor Swift sucks. Period. Just my opinion. Have a great day. Thanks. John, we appreciate that. Every week, something happens here on the show every week as we continue. Actually, let's do this. Jerry Seinfeld's reaction to Dave Chappelle's opening monologue, talked about anti-Semitism, talked about Kanye and all that. Jerry Seinfeld, of course, probably the at least top 3-5 comedians of all time. He is Jewish. His response to Dave Chappelle and what he had to say is why I am picking Jerry Seinfeld as one of our winners of the week. And here's what he said. He was asked, Jerry, you're Jewish. What do you think about what Dave Chappelle said on SNL? And I can imagine this reporter waiting for some controversy. Whatever Jerry Seinfeld says next, I'm putting out there in the Twitter. And Jerry said, I thought it was very well executed. I thought it was very well executed. And I love that because Jerry Seinfeld is saying, here's what I hear him saying anyhow. It's comedy. And I said anytime people get upset about any kind of comedy, you can say it's funny, you can say it's not funny, you can say, but when you start saying it is inappropriate, that's when I'm like, it's comedy. It's comedy. Get over it. I mean, there's some things you shouldn't be joking about, but I that's why I pick him for one of our winners of the week. And coming up in Leftovers 5 minutes from now, I still have stuff on my list, John. How you looking over there? Yeah? Okay. All right. Let's do that, and that'll take us right up to the Gary Nolan Show here on 93.9 The Eagle and 104.5 News.
Here's a big old serving of leftovers. Enjoy.
What an honor to play with you this year. What I love about you is just the way that you conduct yourself, off the field and the field, the great teammate that you are. And what an honor, just to say I play.
Leftovers. We're continuing winners and losers of the week. Albert Pujols talking to Paul Goldschmidt. Paul Goldschmidt, first baseman, St. Louis Cardinals, wins the National League MVP award yesterday. And have you been following what the Blues have been doing, John? Man, yeah. And it's weird. So they won 3 in a row to open up the season. Then they went on an 8-game streak. In our lifetimes, John, you and I have never seen an 8-game losing streak for the St. Louis Blues, I think. And now they're on a 5-game winning streak. What started their winning streak, I think, for at least 3 games? What were the St. Louis Blues doing different to all of a sudden start going on this tear? It's the power of a mom, man. Some of the players, they had this group of moms that were going to a couple of these games with them, and they finally started winning when the moms were going, yeah. God. Either that or they were from Arkansas. I'm not sure. Sorry. Easy joke. I did not mean that. Doug, I want to mention Doug here off the text. He's one of my winners of the week because he texts. And this is what I love about the Wake Up Mid-Missouri family. When you just text stuff like this, like the dude texting, I hate Taylor Swift. There, that's all. Doug, just kind of out of nowhere text. Hey, the return of the Enchilito from Taco Bell, it's not worth it. It's $4. Doesn't taste like it used to. Doug, thank you. Now, see, as a 51-year-old kid who used to love the Enchilito. Yeah. And they brought it back, and Doug is giving a brother a heads up. Yeah, it's not that good. We appreciate that. This is going to be so every week when we ask for winners and losers of the week, ultimately every week we get dozens and dozens of, hey, nominations, the Dems. And typically we don't do it because, yeah, it's too easy. But this week I'm ready to do it because losers of the week, literally Democrats in the House of Representatives. We'll take it this week. And now this is a first. So I was going to pick them for a loser of the week. Marsh, I was picking a local media outlet, okay, for one of our losers of the week. And something that they had posted in, I guess, an opinion section, technically, which is fine. But it was just, it was just inaccurate. And nobody apparently at this media outlet corrected it. So I'm getting on here, John. I don't know if you can see my computer here, but I got on and I'm going to get this story that I was in, the story that I was using as leverage to pick this local media outlet as a loser of the week. They have put in clarification. They have everything that I was, when we were railing on this, and by the way, thanks to listener Jim Madigan for pointing this out, they have now added clarification to the story. They have fixed it. I was picking the Columbia Missourian for loser of the week. They printed December Harmon. She's a thorn in the side of, needlessly, in the side of Columbia Police Department. She's a member of the Citizens Police Review Board, which is just a catastrophe. Was a catastrophe because the city said, you know what, you guys are done. It's supposed to be a conduit between the public and the police department, things like that. She used it to go after police, and she just wrote this. She put just basically, I would say she put inaccuracies in the Missouri and printed it. And now I just got on there. They have added clarification to correct what we had pointed out. Man. Hope you have a great weekend. My dad is getting excited. His favorite show, The Gary Nolan Show, is coming up just minutes from now. See ya.